Hello, and welcome to our latest exciting episode of The Outsiders Series 2. If you're watching us on YouTube, you will notice our shiny new backdrops, which we are graced with. And above me, it says Series 2, if you can see my finger. But yeah, this is Series 2. I'm joined as ever with Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Zach. How you doing?
I'm very well. Having a good time. It's a lot cooler now, I'm pleased to say.
It is
How are things with you?
all good. Everything is fine. It's another day in paradise as ever.
Tickety boo, and lots of other words. It's because we've been to the King's Road. I now feel like Dick Van Dyke.
Keep that to yourself if I were you, Zach.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, welcome everyone. We are the Outsiders, and this week we're diving again into another topic about how it feels to be an outsider. I'd just like to start with sharing a little piece of news. I watched the other day, because we do talk about films from time to time. I watched the other day The Matrix Resurrections. Are you a fan of The Matrix, Mark?
I've seen the original,
Yeah.
and I think I'd see it about three times to get the general gist of it. But not, I wouldn't say a massive fan. Probably a little bit complex, actually. I like complex things, but that was a step too far, I think. I think maybe I took the wrong pill.
Yeah, maybe. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it does touch on philosophical themes. The first one, as with most films, the first one is the better one. The sequels that were made after that were progressively bad. But The Matrix Resurrections, 20 years later or whatever it is, I found it quite interesting. And one thing that it does, I thought it's quite an interesting film about trying to figure out what is real, trying to almost like trusting in your the messages that you're getting that something isn't quite right, or there's something that needs to be done, or
Instinct, Zach.
instinct is the word. And it sort of touched on that as well as many other themes, and it got me thinking about stuff and experiences that we might have had ourselves, which is the topic of this week's podcast.
Amazing. What a lead in that
Seamless.
was, Zach. Amazing.
Oh, should do this for professional. Professional? I can't even speak now.
Professional, you
Forget that.
can't speak,
Forget
Zach.
that.
That's a problem. But never mind.
Rewind. Yeah, let's rewind that one. So this is leading me on to that sort of feeling inside that some of us get, and I guess I don't know if everybody gets it because we are sort of sensitive uh, by nature. That is our makeup. We're more in tune, I feel, to messages and signs. I certainly see an awful lot of them. I see, I've gone through a whole life of seeing the same number. And I know that Mark and I, we found out a few weeks ago when we met up that we share that same number, which has only just come to me.
Zach, show them the sign.
The sign, what
Yes.
on my arm. If anyone now, if you're listening to this podcast, dear podcast subscriber, I have the number 28 tattooed onto my arm, and it looks a little bit like a barcode because it's in Egyptian hieroglyphs. Now, I have tried to zap myself in Tesco, but I didn't come up with any price, so I'm safe.
Or it's just the price, 28p.
28p, that was it. But it was quite remarkable that we discovered we have that same number. So we're obviously both in tune to this sort of thing.
Very good point.
Which I find it quite interesting. I've always said to my children, because when I talk about this sort of stuff, that you believe in it because it's not doing anybody any harm by believing in it. If you see signs and it helps you, then where's the harm in that?
I think we're also attracted to numbers and colors, and these are all signals as well. It's very interesting where we're sort of drawn in to a shape or a sign or a number or something like that. It's quite interesting.
Well, I suppose as children, you're asked what your favorite color is, and it sort of stems from there, doesn't it? Because our favorite color has some meaning on our personality, doesn't it?
It reflects the kind of, I think, it's kind of like a signifier, isn't it?
Yeah. which is quite. Mine's always been green, but that's not the reason I'm wearing a green t-shirt today. But it's just
Well,
coincidence. But there we go. Anyway, I've got a few stories I'd like to say based on this, but I'll let Mark talk because I feel like I've been talking.
it's okay. It gives me a chance to rest, Zach. It's not.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the idea of following our nature and our instincts. One of the things I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to really raise it in the air, so maybe for those of you who are listening, which of course we're more than grateful and very excited to be seeing the numbers that are coming in. There must be an awful lot of outsiders out there. Is the idea of the out of body experience, which does link into us following our instincts and our guts in terms of what's happening at the time or what we think is the right thing to do. I wonder how many of you out there have actually had an out of body experience, which isn't so uncommon. I mean, I've checked on YouTube, there's quite a lot about that, and obviously many books. But to actually go through it is quite an out of body experience. And I was just thinking of some of the examples I've gone through. One of them, I think I can go back to being, 13, and being at a garden party when I was, a young lad. And absolutely feeling inside of myself that this was the worst experience because I was surrounded by people that I didn't particularly want to. And I was there kind of as ever when we were kids as some kind of like trophy asset that was sort of wheeled in and wheeled out, wearing a specific sort of outfit to look the part for the day. And my father took a photograph of me as he was going around taking photographs of various people during the event. And I was just like wistfully looking away somewhere. And when the picture actually came out, when it was developed, everyone was going, what a marvelous photograph. How, sort of you were looking in the distance and it looked so sort of very, was it, I can't find the right word for it right now, but you were somewhere else, and I literally was somewhere else. I really wanted to be somewhere else, and I somehow willed myself to be somewhere else. And actually, I even have this memory of looking at the event from above. It was the most bizarre experience, and it's happened. I don't know if any of you listening have got anything similar. There have been others, but usually I find that they come about when you're really at a high moment of stress or pressure, or you're really out of your comfort zone, and not in a good way necessarily. That you suddenly find yourself, as that song, The Talking Heads, when I've used many times, you might find yourself.
Yeah.
And you do. And I have. So I just wanted to put that out there, this out of body experience. It is a scientific thing, but it does happen. Can you relate to that, Zach? Have you had anything similar?
Yeah, definitely. I have had out of body experiences at times on my own. One thing that I do remember, I've got a very strong memory of the day my mum died, and it was not. I'm not bringing it up for a morbid thing. I think it's quite an interesting story about this. In that, I mean, this happened it was 1999, so that's 22 years ago, 23 years ago it happened. But I remember the day vividly, and I remember we went to the care home to see her when she was alive, and then as a family. And then we all went to the pub. After that, we had a couple of pints and just sort of try to boost ourselves a little bit. And then we went home, and our individual went to our separate ways. And I remember sitting down in the flat I was in at the time with my partner at the time, and she asked if I wanted another beer, and I poured another beer, but I didn't drink it. And she asked me, "Why are you going to finish that?" I said, "No, I don't think I don't think I should. I think I'm going to need to keep my wits about me." And it was an instinct. It was my gut telling me something, and I didn't know what it was. But an hour later, my dad phoned me up to say that she's gone. And instantly I was in the car, and I was driving over to be with my dad. So there was that. If I'd have, when in those days it was, that was the limit. I think you could have a couple of pints and not be over the limit. Nowadays, I think it's very different. Um, but there was this. I just had this feeling inside that I had to be here. I had to be ready. Um, and so it proved, because my sister wasn't there, so it all got a bit complicated after that. But I consider that to be, and the fact that I can remember it so vividly after all these years, where I can't remember what I did last week, but I guess it was quite a pivotal, traumatic moment.
Yeah, yeah. I think these moments, these as you say, key moments,
Yeah,
um, they lead to something. I mean, another example I have, which was a very significant one in my life, is when before Olivia, my daughter, was born, and I had this instinct that my wife had had two from previous marriages, had two boys, and I had this instinct inside of me that it was going to be a girl. And I even had dreams and even had messages with her somehow. I knew it was going to be, and that's what it transpired.
yeah,
Transpired. It's just very weird. These kind of messages we get about
mm,
certain circumstances. I think they've got to be significant ones, or something where you're painfully out of your comfort zone, or you're not feeling
mm,
something about it. It's not a good situation, or you're very uncomfortable, and it possibly could even be on a positive one as well, extremely positive, where you suddenly find yourself looking at the event from an out of body context.
yeah, yeah. They're almost like with dreams. There's a theory, isn't there, that when a dream is another dimension, we go in because you can remember your dreams, you have the same sensations, your body reacts in the way it would react in the real world, in the dream world. And you receive messages and you get almost like downloads. The ones you can remember are the downloads. And there are certain dreams I can remember. I can remember numbers that I've dreamt about, and they mean something specific.
Ah,
One is uh, lottery win. I won't win the lottery until I see the numbers 932 in that order. And I'm putting it to the test. I keep looking for those numbers, but they're not there yet.
well, I'll keep coming to the shop with you when you get
Yeah.
932, and then
When I
we'll.
see the numbers 932 in that order, I've seen 329 and 923, but it's not right. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
also talking about numbers, that's very interesting actually. When various situations, I've been being at school, uh, playing for a team, something when you can actually visualize what's going to be said. It's like ESP before it happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I've had several of those. I'm not sure, again, people listening, they can relate to any of these. And if you can, please share them with us. Because, I mean, we are talking to ourselves like madmen, but we would,
Yeah.
you know, it is interesting. I have had sort of, I've preconceived, or in my mind, I've got a situation and it's occurred,
Yeah.
grade or I played, sports school and stuff. And someone said, okay, you'll be this. And I was like, I knew that's what was going to happen,
Yeah.
without realizing it. Or, yeah, results. I think results for me, it's usually results.
Yeah.
I can sense what it's going to be somehow. It's
Was that deja vu, that um thing? It's in the Matrix. Just going back to the Matrix, that's when there's a glitch in the Matrix. So if we are in this world that is constructed, and we keep seeing those messages, maybe it's there's a glitch and somebody's trying to pull us out of it, which then
ah,
we would decide which pill we have to swallow, wouldn't we?
yeah.
And
It is another word is premonition, isn't it? Of
yeah,
what's ahead. It's very,
yeah.
very interesting
It
situation.
is very interesting. Yeah, I do have an experience of that actually. Years ago, I'm now living with this wonderful woman. But years ago, when I wasn't with her, I was on my own. I had a dream um, of her telling me that she loved me, and it was before. I mean, I knew of her, so obviously that's probably why I could picture her in a dream. because we worked together, but we weren't going out. We weren't under any
Well, there's some like telltale signs, like her waving across the supermarket at you and stuff
yeah,
like that.
nothing like that. There was nothing. It was weird. It was so weird. And then what was weird, I remembered it, but I sort of forgot about it. I didn't pay any attention to it. And then I found it weird when we started seeing each other. But again, I didn't bring it up because I didn't think about it. It's just like, okay, it's just one of those things. But then one day the actual thing happened. And it was exactly how I saw it in my dream. And I had to stop and go, whoa, hang on a second, which probably ruined the moment in a way. But it was like, this has happened before. I've seen this. It was a surreal experience.
I think there's also a lot of this about willing something to happen too. Many examples of, well, football aside, I mean, right, we could talk about that, but willing something to happen,
Yeah.
and it does, and you're like, wow, I saw that coming. I knew that was going to happen, but you'd been internally willing it on. And I think that's kind of interesting too, because an awful lot of books and certainly a lot of video clips about, manifesting something
Yeah.
happen.
Visualizing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of truth in that. But sometimes we're doing it unwittingly. We just know
Yeah.
inside of us that we want something to happen in order for X or Y to be an
Yeah.
outcome.
I think there's a lot of power in that, actually, in visualizing you achieving something and getting something. I mean, I remember watching the World Cup, which might have been the last one, not to dwell on football, but Ronaldo was about to take a free kick, and you could see in his face when the camera panned in on his face, he knew it was going in. And we both sat on the sofa saying, this is going to be a goal, because he was obviously visualizing it, but his focus and the intensity of it, he knew exactly what was going to happen, and it happened.
Yeah.
And I think you can use that as a sort of to give yourself a success mindset. If you visualize yourself completing something or achieving something, you can set in motion the way of getting there.
Yeah, well, I definitely, that's true of me with my books, for my daughter. I knew that was something that I had to do, and it was something I visualized, and the kind of feeling of actually having that book in your hand is
Yeah,
quite special.
yeah,
What
and I
about
love
you
it.
out there? I was going to say it would be nice
Yeah.
to, if anyone has got something they'd like to share with us, and it would be great for you to join us on our Facebook page and drop
Please
down
do,
some ideas.
please do. We get some lovely feedback um, on our um, on our pods. So we're very grateful for the feedback that we get. Um, we do understand. I mean, we were in London last week. No, when was it? Weeks before, whenever it was. It feels, I don't know. See, I can't remember
3 weeks.
weeks ago. Um, and I explained to somebody what we did, and they sort of gave me a curious look.
Well,
It's a
no,
bit
you've got
like,
to go back a bit, Zach, because we were sitting in directors' chairs
wow,
in
yes,
the
that's right. That's where it
theatre,
was, in the cinema, wasn't it?
but we were when you
Yeah,
opened the door, that's where we were. So it was like,
yeah.
what are you doing there? Yeah.
We're doing a podcast on outsiders, and she sort of, remember that scene in Airplane when he asked the guy to pinch him and he just gives him a funny look and walks away. It's a bit like that. So we understand that we're broaching subjects that are uncomfortable, but I think it's good. I think these nothing should be off limits. We should be.
I don't think I think Zach also, to be fair, it's not a topic that people tend to have conversations about. It's not a common
No,
theme.
that's true.
I think what we're doing is we're bringing to light something that is very much within us, and
Yeah,
a little bit different, a little bit left of center. But I think a lot of people I've spoken with outside of this this zone um, relate in their certain stage of their life or constantly. Um, I was at a conference on last Friday, and met a lady who is unbelievable. I mean, she's so successful, so successful. She's got about 5 businesses she's juggling. And she said that when she's doing business, she's in her zone.
yeah,
But when she's not doing business, she can totally relate to being on the outside looking in because of her background and her life.
right.
And so I think a lot of people can relate to it. It's just how they put it together in their own, you
Yeah,
know, internal capacity of what's happened to them in their lives or what's made the difference. And I think another thing is COVID has also brought that closer, because a lot of people have been on their own and they've had time to reflect or to analyze situations. So I think it's a very relevant thing. It's not the kind of conversation you have on an everyday basis.
No, and it is about emotions, isn't it? So we're touching on emotions, and I think it's important to talk about your emotions, discuss them, even if it doesn't matter. There doesn't need to be an outcome. Sometimes it's just getting it out can be a positive and rewarding experience. But if you are one of our listeners, an outsider who listens to us secretly in their, I don't know, under the covers, but I was remembering an advert for the secret lemonade drinker. And so I've devised this thing in my head where some of our outsider listeners pop down in the middle of the night to the fridge and they open it up and put the headphones on, and then they're listening to our podcast. So I might well do some sort of.
It's the only way.
Got to be done. Got to be done.
The only way to engage with our podcast. When you sleep down at night and put your headphones on that come out of the fridge, it's the only way to do it.
And it gives another definition to us being cool. So if nobody knows what those adverts are, by the way, I will hunt it down on YouTube and I'll put it on our Facebook page, and you can have a look at it there.
And you could even possibly put a little image on the Facebook page as well, so people might recollect. It's actually R. White's Lemonade.
That's right. All right. R. White's Lemonade. And he sung a song. I'm a secret. I'm not going to sing it. Don't sing it. No.
But we'll put an image in there just to remind you.
Yeah, it's great. It's good fun. So that about wraps us up, I think, for this week. Do please subscribe to our podcast.
Because, if you don't subscribe, it's not going to come to you automatically. You don't want to go hunting for it. So find us.
Whatever platform is your platform of choice, you can subscribe to us and you will be notified once the new episode is out.
We're available at all good retail stores, aren't we? And
we are indeed. Absolutely. We've got a whole host of them. And of course, feel free to pop by and visit us at our Facebook page. Currently, where are we, Mark? Can you remember?
Oh, it's hip not to be square.
Yes. Excellent.
My idea, but never can remember. It was one of my weird foibles in life.
It's never stayed in.
And and what about the 5 steps to living your best life as an outsider? 5 steps, free PDF, which is available to you.
Yeah.
All you have to do is, in this particular case, we're going to put the word instinct on the Facebook group, just under the chat. Put instinct, put your city if you want to. If you don't, it doesn't matter. We're interested. And by return of message, you will get your 5-step PDF. As Zach said quite rightly last week, it is a badge of honor.
Yes.
Yours for the taking.
Yeah. I think we should start producing badges, actually. I think that will be quite interesting.
It's a very good idea, Zach.
Yeah. Excellent. So that's it for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. I like using the old phrase tuning in. It goes back to the radio days. Any last thoughts, Mark, before we relieve our listeners?
Not at this present moment. You've caught me on the hop, but I would wish you a great week ahead. I hope you enjoy our pods. Keep on subscribing and downloading, and do come and visit us and communicate with us. We'd love to hear from you. And I think, until next time, it's goodbye from.
Yes, and it's goodbye from him.
Yes. All right. See you next time.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.